لا بس في رجال ممكن يكون.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد, dear brothers, today's khutbah will take the topic of the state of the ummah today. Why are we decimated? Why is Allah's promise of victory and kingdom and ruling in the land not true in today's age? So this khutbah obviously will take more than one khutbah, and after that we'll go into the glad tidings that the Prophet ﷺ has given us about where this ummah that is today humiliated, where this ummah will reach. So first we will tackle the question that should be on the mind of every Muslim, which is, when will help and victory from Allah come? And what are the means of attaining this victory? What should we do as an ummah, as a nation, as Muslims, so that we can deserve this victory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? First of all, Allah's help to the Muslims against their disbelieving enemies who wage war on them is something that is real and true. So Allah's help is something that is real and true. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we believe that because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, brothers, if you can move up a little bit, because people are going to be coming and we need room. Move up please. Jazakumullahu khairan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised that to the believers. He has promised them that the victory is near, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only delays this victory for certain reasons. The one who has strong faith and true certainty will realize that it is indeed near, as the Lord says, even if we look around us and we see that it possibly, logically, may not be so. Okay, so your faith must tell you that the victory is near, even if logically speaking, we see that it may not be. Why is that? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did inform us in Surah Al-Baqarah what has happened to the people before us, the messengers and their followers before us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِن قَبْلِكُمْ مَسَّتْهُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ وزلزلوا حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله ألا إن نصر الله قريب. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in the Quran, do you think that you will enter paradise without undergoing the same trials that befell those before you, the people that went before you? So this can be addressing Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and the companions. This can also be true for today's Muslims, and so on and so forth. So Allah continues to say those people were afflicted with severe poverty and ailments. We know what happened to the Prophet ﷺ in Mecca for 3 years. People had nothing to eat, to the point that one of you would go to urinate somewhere. If he hears a noise of a leaf, he takes that leaf, he rubs the dirt off of it, he makes it into small pieces, and he tries to cook it with water to eat it. This was the Prophet ﷺ, the best of mankind, and still he had to go through his hardship. Why? So that we Muslims can look at our hardship and say, what he has gone through is a lot worse than we are going through. So you know, for those 3 years, the disbelievers of Mecca, they actually cut all economic, social, and military relationship with the tribe of Bani Hashim. They're believers and they're disbelievers. Because it was a tribal society, the tribe stuck together, even if they are not all Muslims. And this went on for 3 years. For 3 years it went on. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, those that have come before you, they were afflicted with severe poverty and ailments, sicknesses, and they were so shaken out of fear. They were shaken from fear, to the point that even the messenger and those who believed with him said, when will the help of Allah come? When will the help of Allah come? Allah answers them, He says, yes, certainly the help of Allah is near. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is powerful. He can do anything He wants. He can give a single order and the whole state of the world as we know it can change. But this would go against His wisdom, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to test the Muslims. He has to make sure they are ready to establish His law in the land. We'll give a small example. Let's give the example of a person who inherits a fortune from his parents. He does not work for it. He does not stay up late at night to earn that money. So obviously when he receives that money, it's going to have no value for him. He's just going to be spending it left and right. Compare that to the person who has worked very hard and suffered and underwent so much hardship to earn a penny and two. Of course, when he makes that money, he's going to think twice before spending it, because he has gone through the period of hardship. So he knows the value of this money he has earned. Similarly, if we Muslims just open our eyes and we are kings and rulers, we are not going to know the value of what it is to be the leaders of mankind. And as a matter of fact, this is what happened to a certain generation of the Muslims, and that's why they lost the Khilafah. You know, the last Khilafah that happened was the Khilafah of the Ottoman Empire. If you go back to history, you see that the Ottoman Empire has ruled more than half of Europe. Today Serbia was a Muslim country. Greece was a Muslim country. Spain was a Muslim country for more than 700 years. Parts of China, India. You see that the Muslims ruled far east and west over the people. But as time passed, they started losing the drive to be the leaders, to deliver Allah's message, because this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought us to this world. And they became faint, and they gave up the true religion, and they started worshipping others besides Allah, started worshipping their awliya, the graves. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obviously out of His justice, has taken the kingdom from them and has given it to their enemies, so that the Muslims may perchance take heed and go back to the true path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that they may deserve to be the leaders of mankind again. Commenting on this verse, and Imam Ibn Jarir al-Tabari in his tafsir, and obviously there are many great tafsirs out there, and there are a couple that we need to be careful of. The good ones are the tafsir of Imam Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, then tafsir Ibn Kathir, then we have tafsir al-Baghawi, then we have Fayd al-Qadir, Suyuti, al-Shawkani. These are good scholars to read their tafsir. There are other tafsirs who are actually very big tafsirs, but the scholars recommend that we don't look at them because they are full of misnomers, they are full of weak ahadith of the Shia. There's one that is called Tafsir Alusi, Ruh al-Ma'ani, it's called Ruh al-Ma'ani. This one we should not even look at it. This mufassir goes into the tafsir of the Sufis, the internal tafsir. In other words, he would tell you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says such and such. We understand it apparently as being one thing, but in actual meaning of this verse, only the awliya know it. Only the Sufi, high-ranking Sufis know the meaning of this ayah. So this kind of tafsir, a person should stay away from it. It's called Ruh al-Ma'ani by Al-Alusi. There's also tafsir al-Tha'labi. This one also, a person should not go near it because it has a lot of inauthentic hadiths by the Shia, and so on and so forth. So here, tafsir Ibn Jarir al-Tabari is one of the good tafsirs. The Imam, may Allah have mercy on him, commented on this verse in Surah Al-Baqarah by saying, what this means is, that means he's explaining Allah's verse, Am hasibtum an tadkhulul jannah. He said what this means is, or do you think that you, O believers in Allah and His Messenger, that you will enter paradise without anything befalling you like that which befell those who came before you among the followers of the prophets and messengers, of hardship, trials, and tests? You will surely be tested as they were tested with severe poverty, which is severe hardship, and ailments, which is pain and sickness. But you have not been shaken as they were shaken, meaning you have not yet suffered extreme fear and terror at the hands of your enemies yet, so that you may think that the help of Allah is slow in coming, and you will be questioning this notion and say, when will Allah's help come to us? Then Allah told these followers of the prophets and the Prophet ﷺ that His help was near to them. Allah's help is always near. He just decides when to give it to His worshipping slave. And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would cause them to prevail over the enemy and defeat them. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has fulfilled that, what He had promised to the Prophet ﷺ, and made His word and the word of the companions supreme, and extinguished the flames of war lit by those who disbelieve. Because as you know, as soon as Islam came about, during the Meccan period for 13 years, Muslims were being prosecuted. So the Prophet ﷺ, through revelation, he knew that the leader of Abyssinia, the leader of Habasha, today's Ethiopia, who was a Christian at the time, was a king where no injustice is done to people there. So he told the companions to make hijrah, migrate for the sake of Allah from Mecca to Abyssinia. Now obviously today when we talk about leaving the land of Muslim to the land of disbelief, this is not hijrah, this is the opposite of hijrah. And for one of us, he may think, well, what's the big deal? Actually, I would love to leave my homeland to go to a new land. This was not the case back then. Back then, people were very attached to their tribe, very attached to their city, very attached to their surroundings. So for them to leave Mecca and go to a new country, very far away, trekking miles and miles on foot and on camelback, was not an easy thing for them to do. And they did this because they had true faith. In other words, would have said, Allah Ghafur Rahim, I don't have to go. I'm going to stay in Mecca. I don't offer prayer in front of them. I will shave my beard. I will do whatever they tell me. When I meet with them, I will smile. When I go in my house, I'm a Muslim. When I'm outside, I'm whatever they want me to do. This is not what those people did. They truly believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they gave up everything they had for the sake of Allah. So those people, they made hijrah, the first one, and then they made a second hijrah, and then when the Prophet ﷺ was given the allegiance by the Aus and Al-Khazraj, the two tribes that were in Medina, the pledge of allegiance that they shall believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and protect the Prophet ﷺ from his enemies. The Prophet ﷺ made his famous migration from Mecca to Medina, and ever since, people have been trying to destroy Islam and Muslims from the time of the Prophet ﷺ until today's world. The mushriks attacked him, many tribes attacked him, the Romans attacked him, and so on and so forth. So this is the sunnah of Allah in this world. Don't think that you are going to be, don't think that you're going to say that you are a Muslim Don't think that you say that you're going to be a Muslim and you're not going to be tried. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ankabut, Alif Lam Mim, أَحَسِبَ النَّاسُ أَن يُتْرَكُوا أَن يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا وَهُمْ لَا يُفْتَنُونَ. Alif Lam Mim. Do mankind think that they're going to say, oh, we believe, and they're going to be left alone without trials? وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. Surely we have tried those before them. Why? فَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ الْكَاذِبِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to keep on giving us trials. As long as we say we believe, we're going to live in trials as Muslims. So this is the end of Tafsir al-Tabari. Now Shaykh Muhammad ibn Salih ibn al-Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, may Allah have mercy on his soul, said, some of the lessons we learn from this verse, this is a very important verse, is that number one, the individual should not ask for help except from the one who can give it, who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is lesson number one. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked, actually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in this verse, when will come the help of Allah, not the help of someone else. We're not going to sell our religion so that we can seek the help of country A or country B. Many of the Muslim rulers today are making this mistake. They are selling the Muslim land. They are establishing the laws of disbelief in the Muslim land in return for protection. Protection by whom? Not by Allah. Protection by the disbelievers. Against whom? Against his brotherly Muslim. So if you look at the map of the Muslim countries today, country A is bordering country B. So country A is seeking the help of Europe or the US or Russia. Country B is seeking the help of the US or Europe or Russia against country A. And then you go to country C and D. Country C is fighting with country D. Each one of them is seeking help from the disbelievers, and so on and so forth. And obviously, if a Muslim has the slightest common sense, he's going to know that a disbeliever will not help you in actuality. He will tell you that he's going to help you. He's going to take your wealth. But he's going to tell you to establish his law of disbelief so long that he wants you to remain there as a ruler. Then he's going to cause some revolts. He's going to take you out, install another puppet there, and so on and so forth. And this is what we have been living in the Muslim countries since the decimation of the Khilafah in the year 1929. We have countries, revolt after revolt, they call for democracy, they call for hypocrisy, they call for this, they call for that, and we don't hear a single person calling for the return to the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Many Muslims are calling for democracy today because they do not understand what democracy is. Democracy is based on a philosophical notion. It's coming from a philosophical notion that it's called the contract of the society. These so-called thinkers gathered and said, why do mankind fight? Why do mankind wage wars and kill each other? They said because of two things. Number one, because of religion. And number two, because of competition over the wealth in the society. So how are we going to solve this problem? Number one, the problem of religion will be best solved by telling everyone to practice his religion in his closet, in his house. When he goes outside to the society, we are a society without religion. Everyone is free to do whatever, to believe whatever. And number two, when it comes to the competition over the worldly matters, what is right, what is wrong, we're going to see the opinion of the majority of the people. For example, if the majority of the people, as happened in Ireland not too long ago, vote that we should allow homosexual marriages, then we will allow homosexual marriages, regardless of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. We're going to see what the society wants. The society votes so that everyone walks naked, ajallakumullah, in the street. We will tell everyone, walk naked. This is what democracy is. This is what Muslims are dying for today, without knowing what they are dying for. Ignorance in our Muslim countries is what's killing us. Ignorance in the worldly matters and in the religious matters. أَفَحُكْمَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ يَبْغُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, do the rule of the Jahiliyyah is the one that they want to establish in the land? No, we should always seek the ruling by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? One simple reason. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who created all of mankind. The Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the user manual for mankind. You follow the user manual, you will be able to live happily. You follow somebody else's made up nonsense thoughts and ways of life, we're going to suffer. This is the simple reason why. If we have a car, we have a computer, a brand new phone, we happily go to the user manual, try to see how to use it so we don't break it, so it doesn't break. Similarly, we have to establish Allah's law in ourselves. Allah's law is the true user manual. It's not the made in China user manual. Even though there are a lot of things made in China that are good quality, but it's a joke. It's not the false user manual. So the true user manual for mankind is the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not democracy, not hypocrisy, not socialism, not atheism, not anything else. We ask Allah to unite the word of the Muslims. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring us back to the true religion. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless our wives and our children and our families, and to have mercy on the souls of those Muslims that passed away before us, and to make us steadfast on the true path. Ameen. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So we continue the lessons from this verse. According to Shaykh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymin, he said, the individual should not ask for help except from the one who is able to give it, who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number two, the methodology of those who believe in the messengers is the same as the methodology of the messengers themselves. So that's why we study the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, so that we can know how he dealt with matters. And we follow in his footsteps ﷺ in every big and small matter. And also, these believers that follow the messengers say and do whatever the messengers said and did. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, even the messenger and those who believed along with him said, when will the help of Allah come? So they both said the same words. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows us in another verse in Surah Ali Imran. when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about what happened in the battle of Uhud. إذ تصعدون ولا تلوون على أحد والرسول يدعوكم في أخراكم. The battle of Uhud, the Muslims were winning. We know the story. The Prophet ﷺ told a few companions who were archers to remain on the hilltop and not leave their positions. Regardless of what happens to the Muslims, whether they win or lose, they should not leave. This was the word and the order of the Prophet ﷺ. However, Shaitan has caused these believers to leave their posts, their position of power, when they saw that the Muslims were winning. At the time, Khalid ibn Walid radiallahu anhu, he was not a Muslim yet, and he was the leader of the cavalry for the mushriks of Quraysh. So he surrounded the Muslims from the back, and then havoc and calamity befell the Muslims. Havoc and calamity befell the Muslims, and many companions died, and the Prophet ﷺ escaped the battlefield, and he climbed mountain Uhud, the Mount of Uhud, and Umar radiallahu anhu, and Abu Bakr with him. But he was, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu was with him, and he was shooting the arrows, and the Prophet ﷺ said, shoot may be sacrificed for you. So this is, or bi abi wa ummi. Actually, so the Prophet ﷺ did make some dua and statement to Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, which he has not made to anyone else, because he was actually shooting the arrows in a state of fear. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, in this battle, there were some among the people in the battlefield, among the Muslims rather, who were worried about themselves, and they said, oh, what is happening to us? If it were up to us, who would not die here today? So they went out for jihad with the Prophet ﷺ, but in their hearts, they were not submitting. They were not doing that willingly. So this is wrong. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ تَوَلَّوْا مِنْكُمْ يَوْمَ الْتَقَى الْجَمْعَانِ إِنَّمَا اسْتَزَلَّهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ بَعْدِ مَا كَسَبُوا. Those that ran away from the battlefield when the two parties met, that means the battle of Uhud, the believing party and the disbelieving party, surely Shaitan came to them and made them be afraid of death because of their evil deeds. Shaitan came to them and make them be afraid of death because of some evil deeds. So one of the plots of Shaitan is that he's going to whisper to you on and on and on until you commit a sin. And then he's going to come to you and talk to you with that sin. Oh, look, you committed that sin. Maybe you shouldn't be praying. You're going to become like a hypocrite. Maybe you should this, maybe you should do that. So we have to be very careful of this, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not cause any bad thing to happen to us except for one or two reasons. Either because of evil deeds that we are doing, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to forgive us our deeds, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to raise us in rank, give us more reward. A person may not be doing enough good deeds, such as sadaqah, such as non-mandatory prayers. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give this person trial after trial so that he may get more reward. Because when you get into a trial and have patience, sabr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you a very big reward. Next, Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen said, number 3, the perfect nature of the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he said, certainly the help of Allah is near. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can help us and can turn the tide around in our favor anytime He wants subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 4, this verse also tells us about the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because out of His wisdom He withholds the victory for a certain period of time, even though it is near. Okay, why is that? Until we deserve it. We gave the example that if a person earns easy money, he won't be able to value it. He will just spend it left and right. But if someone works hard to obtain a certain degree in university or a certain amount of money, then he's going to know the value of what he has obtained, and he's not going to let it go to waste. Number 5, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also teaches us to have patience at the time of calamity for the sake of Allah. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that patience is one of the means to enter paradise. Because what the verse means is that if you want to enter paradise, then you must have patience, even if you are undergoing a lot of trials. Don't turn your back away on Islam. Don't say this is too much for me. Don't say I can't take it. No, have patience and ask Allah for help so that He can make you steadfast. And lastly, Ibn Uthaymeen says, the believers are given the glad tidings of victory so as to strengthen their morale, so that they will continue in the fight for the sake of Allah, hoping for the divine help that they were told about in this ayah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us what the reward is. Keep trying. Keep fighting for the sake of Allah. Keep steadfast on the true religion. Keep calling people to Islam. Raise your kids according to Islam. Don't lose your kids. It's the most important investment you have in this country. The most important investment we have in this country is our kids. We should not let them go to waste. We should not let them turn kafirs. We should not let them be in a jail. We should not let them kill each other with guns. No. We are Muslims. We are the best nation that Allah has brought forth. We want to see our kids in the highest and best positions in the dunya, emulating Islam, without giving up Islam. We want them to be in position of power and show that they are Muslims, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can forgive our sins and can give us the good reward in this dunya and the hereafter. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us steadfast on His deen. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us patience in the trials and tribulations. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save the Muslims from the trials they are going through and save their souls. And as I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide the rulers of the Muslim land and to give them the pious counsel, to show them what is right and what is correct. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep the fitna away from us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep the fitna away from us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep the fitna away from us. And آخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وقوموا لصلاتكم.